Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my experience at the recent Gesneriads convention in Parsippany, and also a little bit about the care of my plants, what I did to get them ready for the show. So let me just get into first my experience. I had no idea what to expect. Now, I get the Gesneriads magazine, and when it came out and I saw that the convention was going to be near me, I got really excited. So I waited and waited until you were able to register. Now, when you register, it depends what number you get to get into the sales room, which I found out is also a really big deal, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so as soon as tickets became available, I picked them up for me and my mom and my husband. And I would encourage you to get the pin if you're into that type of thing. I've got my little thing here to show you guys. For anybody that wasn't there, you can pick up one of these little like neck wallets. That was the pin that they gave out this year, or that they made available this year. And then this here is how they keep track of what meals you went to. So you would sign up when you registered for convention, which meals you wanted. And if it's in your budget, I would encourage you to sign up for as many meals as you can because the food was so good. They picked a really great hotel. It was the Sheraton in Parsippany, and I'll go ahead and put a picture for you guys. It was designed to look like a castle, so it was really nice. They had a walking trail around the outside, lots of things that you could do aside from just the convention, so that was fun. There was a lot of like local plant nurseries and things to check out. So the first day we got there on a Sunday, and it was during a heat wave. So the most important thing was to get the dogs and the plants out of the car as quickly as possible. And we loaded up the luggage cart and got like halfway through the parking lot, and my boxes of plants fell off of the luggage cart. I was devastated, let's be honest. There was like dirt and broken leaves and stuff. I spent probably at least easily an hour to 2 hours trying to clean everything up in the hotel room, and I made them good enough to take them to show. I'll show you some pictures at the end of that. But next time I would be a lot more careful, maybe like anchor them down to the luggage cart or just carry them by hand. You live and you learn. So that was my first thing. And then I would just encourage you to go to as many of the talks and things as you can, the discussions. So the discussions were more like kind of like a round table event where it wasn't as many people and you just kind of sat there and like bounced ideas, and there was a moderator. So I went to a watering discussion where we talked about, do we wick water, do we top water, do we fertilize, what kind of soil do we use, things like that. And then I went to a propagation one, and that was a lot of talk about starting seeds, which was really exciting because there was an opportunity to buy seeds at the sales room. I went to another discussion where we talked about our favorite tools. A lot of us had the same favorite tools, but I did pick up some ideas for some fun new ones to look into. And in addition to the discussions, there are also programs, and those are like the big programs. Those are like a packed auditorium. And I went to pretty much all of them. They were so good. We got to listen to people. Olive Ma Robinson gave a presentation. That was the first presentation of the convention, and she showed like an expedition that she went on, and some of the plants that they featured in the presentation they had brought for sale in the sales room later on. So that was really cool to be able to see them in situ and then be able to actually go and see them in the sales room and bring them home. And then which other ones did I really, Dale Martins gave a really nice presentation, and it was about hybridizing, and it was really good. At the end of that, she did a raffle, which was really fun. They had so much plant material that they had brought in that everybody there got at least to go up once and pick something, most likely twice. And what else? I went to a presentation about great beauty without flowers. So it was all about plants with variegated leaves or interesting patterned leaves. And it was just really great to be an entire week in a place with people that share my hobby like as passionate as I am, because let's be honest, most of us in our day-to-day lives don't have somebody that shares that enthusiasm at the ready. So definitely go to a convention if there's one close enough. So this was my first time ever entering any plants in a show. I've never done a plant show before, and I was nervous about it, but I wanted to do it because I wanted to experience it at least. I didn't know when the next time anything would be in my area to do this, so I went ahead and did it. And I would encourage anybody that's thinking about it to just try. You never know. And it turned out to be wonderful. Now, I didn't go on any of the trips because it was a heat wave during that time, and most everything was outside, and I just wasn't feeling it. But they did do trips to the New York Botanical Garden. They did a trip to the grounds for sculpture, and the pictures I've seen of those looked amazing. So that was, if it was cooler, I would have done that. But now, the sales room. So on your little badge, you get a little name tag that goes in here, and I'll show you mine because I saved it in a scrapbook. Anyways, that's how it looks. And the number you get is based on when you registered. And the number you get is how early you get into the sales room. So the line was so long. I was number 43, so I got in pretty quick. I didn't have anything like on my wish list or looking for anything rare. I just wanted to make sure when I registered for the convention that I didn't know how fast tickets would sell out or if they would sell out. So I registered early and got number 43. So you wait outside of the sales room. They have the doors closed and they let people in increments of like however many came out to keep it at a decent amount of people in the room. But when you go in, the room is all separated by type of plant, which is kind of neat. So it's not like different sellers where you have to pay at each booth. It's one huge room and every plant type is together. So like Streptocarpus, they're over here. Also the African violets because they're Streptocarpus. The Calumnias had their own table. Like it was overwhelming, but it was really cool. Primulinas on the back wall. There was a section of things like pots and tools and soil, things like that. And then there was one small section of begonias and other non-Gesneriad, but kind of like terrarium sized plants. And I did some damage there. And I'm going to give you guys a little haul because I always like seeing what other people pick up. So I'm going to kind of flip this camera around. I'm going to give you a little kitchen counter haul. After that, I want to go into a little bit of my care. I won't make it too long, but just a little bit of what I do in case anybody was curious. And I'll do it mainly for my Streptocarpus because that's what I took to show and that's what I did good with. So I will show you what I use for me that works. Keep in mind it's my environment and stuff, so it might not work exactly the same, but you might be able to try some products or pick some things up or even make some suggestions for me in the comment box if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube. So let's get into that. We will see the haul and we will see the care. I thought it would be fun to give you guys a peek into what I picked up at the Gesneriad convention. We're going to do a quick kitchen counter haul and just show you. So this is actually not a Gesneriad. This is a Dremeopsis maculata. I picked up a couple of Streptocarpus. This one is Apis. Bristol's Ribbon Candy. This was actually a table favorite at one of the dinners. I picked up a Drimonia cherubagana. There's a really pretty one of these that I showed in the actual show footage. Calumnia domingensis and Belonia spinosa. Those are two of the plants that we watched a program from Olive Ma Robinson. She showed how they went down and actually found them in situ. I picked up a Coleus Tidbit Tammy. I went back on the final day of the sale when things were half off and I picked up a Streptocarpus neris. Let's see what else. I've got a blue oil fern. This one is so pretty. This is an African violet river mist zombie. I got a Sonorilla, which I'm going to put in my terrarium. I got a Syningia ballata and another Syningia prudence Risley. And then I also picked up some Syningia seeds because they were selling them there too. I only have one Syningia, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to try something new. Then I picked up a Primulina Tabacum, and then Primulina JV's Thunderbolt. I sat next to Jim Vlasic at one of the dinners and found out that he hybridizes these, so I had to go back into the showroom and try and find one of his, and that's what this one is. And you can't see it real great here, but it does have some silver in the leaves. And then some more table favors. They gave us these little droppers, some screens for the bottom of your pots. This I won. Dale Martins did a presentation and she gave things away. And then the next morning she had a kind of like a walkthrough for first timers, and this was like one of the things there. So I've got her swale recipe, and I've got this hydrofiber to try out. I've also got a leaf from her, but it's already in my prop box. But just a quick look at the things I picked up in the showroom. So the first thing I want to talk about is environment, and I keep all of my, well, most of my Gesneriads here. I have a couple throughout the house and other places, but this is the majority. And you can see the Streptocarpus over here, African violets. I only have miniatures out here. I have 2 standards in the living room. And then I've got some Calarias, Syningias, Primulinas, and then some succulents. But I keep them in here. This is just a regular room, and I've got a little gauge here. You can see that it's about 69 degrees and 54% humidity. And I think that these little cubbies kind of create little microclimates, makes it a little bit more humid than just sitting out in the open. Not a lot, but it works for me. And the fact that they are in one of my main living spaces, this is my dining room that I have to pass through to go like to any other room, means that I can catch things earlier. I can see if something looks like it's having a problem or if something needs water. I catch it a lot earlier than if I had them on a shelf in a different room, because I'm kind of one of those people that I need to see something to be reminded and take care of it. And, you know, I like to live with my plants and kind of enjoy them. So in each of these little cubbies, I have a grow light, and these are the Barina lights. I'll put a little Amazon link or a little Amazon picture so you can see that. And they all kind of just daisy chain together, you can see. So it actually is only like 3 plugs going into the wall. I have it all hooked up on smart plugs, so I can do it through my phone if I'm not home, or I can just tell my thing to do it. I don't want to say her name. So anyways, this is how I do this. And that is how my environment looks. I just wanted to pop back in and mention that this is the Barina lights on. Now they come in different color temperatures, so you can get cool or warm. I chose warm because I always prefer more of a yellow toned light than like the blue ones. They hurt my eyes and give me a headache. So I choose this, but it was a personal preference. So next I thought I would tell you a little bit about what my watering routine looks like. I use tap water. We have a well, so we don't have like chlorine or anything like that. And I always use kind of like a room temperature, never too hot, never too cold. This is the watering can that I choose to use. I like that it has a narrow spout and it's large, so I can do a lot of my collection without refilling it. This is the IKEA VATTENKRASSE. And you can see I printed out labels to go on the bottom to kind of show you and to keep me, so I remember how much of each thing to use. So these are the products that I use when I water. Not every time, I'll explain these to you. So I've got this one here. This is the MSU Orchid Fertilizer, and I use this every time that I water. I use it in a weak concentration. So the way I've done the math, to this entire can of water, I put 1 teaspoon of this. And when I water from the top at the sink, so it's basically flushing through each time, so there's never too much of a buildup. But I have really good results with this. Every time that I water, I add this to the watering can. This is BTI. It's a naturally occurring bacteria. It's Bacillus thuringiensis israeliensis, if you want to be scientific. Basically what it is, it prevents fungus gnats, mosquitoes, things in that family from reproducing and living. So 2 drops of that to this can, And I have had this for a very long time. I bought this on Amazon. I will go ahead also and put product links or little screenshots so you can see what they look like on Amazon. This I use once a month when I water, and this I put a teaspoon in, and I did the math. I don't remember what concentrate I worked it out to. I always tend to err on the side of less is more. So I use this once a month when I water. And I started using this after we listened to the presentation with Dr. Jeff Smith, where he showed the results of using sulfur versus not, and then some of the other things, which is one of the reasons why I like this fertilizer. I'll go ahead and flip it over. It's already got calcium and magnesium in it, and the nitrogen doesn't have, it's not a urea nitrogen, so it doesn't have as negative of side effects. And I do think it's a little pricey, but because I'm only using it on the Gesneriads, I use just basic Miracle-Gro. For the other tropical plants, they don't seem to care. This lasts quite a while. All right, let's talk a little bit about substrate. So I recently watered this, it's why it's a little dark, but I tend to keep things simple. I use a mixture of peat, and I just pick up Miracle-Gro because it's always available no matter where I go. I don't have to wait for it to come in or anything. And perlite, I will order perlite on Amazon because the kind at the big box stores is always more dust than it is perlite. I'll put pictures in and links of that too. But in plants that are smaller, you can see I've probably got maybe like a 60-40, 60 being the peat, 40 being the perlite. And then sometimes if I've got bark and it's a larger plant, like some of my larger Streptocarpus or Calarias or Pimulinas, I also put bark in. And that's just the Miracle-Gro orchid bark. I try and keep it simple, and that's what works for me. Now, because it was one of the presentations I enjoyed the most, I thought I would go over my favorite tools with you guys. So you may have noticed this mat that I've been sitting on the whole time here. This is a dish drying mat, and you can just find these at any TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods, and they put them out for every season. But I find these really great if you're a sink waterer and you take things out and you run through. This is a great place to set them while they drip dry before you put them back in their pots. And I pick up new ones each season, so I've got Christmas ones, I've got this one for summer, and they're just really nice. You can throw them in the machine and clean them when it's time. Now let's show these other tools. So this one is a moisture meter. Now, I don't use this exactly how it's designed to be used. So when you start to use chunkier soils, this gives you kind of an inaccurate reading because what it measures is conductivity in the soil. It doesn't actually tell water, it's the conductivity of the soil. But I use it kind of like where you put the fork in the cake to kind of see if the center is dry. So you can put it in, and if soil comes out on the bottom and it's damp, then you know your plant does not need water. So that's how I use that. It's a good way to kind of tell. And it's easier for me than a chopstick because chopsticks are wood, so they always look dark after they've been dirty. Next is a makeup brush. This is kind of self-explanatory. This is great for cleaning off leaves. This is another thing that's great for cleaning off leaves. I got this in a cactus care kit, but it's basically like a nasal aspirator that you would use on a baby. And it just lets you kind of like puff any dust or hairs off the leaves. I like to use these sewing scissors because the points are so fine. It's a lot easier to get down close to the stems in a lot of the Gesneriads and violets that are tiny. And then this is a sucker plucker. This is nice, obviously, to remove suckers, but also if you're debudding, to get kind of down and remove as much of that flower stalk as you can. Okay guys, now that you have seen the haul and the care and heard about my experiences, I just wanted to give a quick little plug here to the Heart of Texas African Violet Society. That is what I'm making this video for. If you're watching it after the fact on YouTube, they're going to have watched it previously. But I'll put a link in the box below. Go over to Facebook, check them out. It costs nothing, and you can go to the monthly Zooms, and they have some really good speakers. They've had Dr. Jeff Smith. They've had other people in the group that are so knowledgeable giving talks on things like soil and care and how they travel across the border from like Canada to the US with plants for shows, pest control, light, all kinds of things. So it's once a month, there's a meeting. It's always a Monday. And all you have to do is send an email and they will send you the Zoom link, completely free and so much knowledge. Go check that out in the description box. I'll give you the link to the Facebook. And then I just want to thank you guys all for watching. I'm going to go ahead now and do a little slideshow of some of the plants that I took and some of my other favorite plants that were at convention. And if you have an opportunity to go to a convention in the future, definitely check it out.